In this video, traders, we're going to look at avoiding temptation to cut those winners. Stay tuned. Hey guys, warm welcome to you. All right, so question from a subscriber, or a viewer. Appreciate your questions as always. Keep them coming, guys. I'll get round to them when I can. And you got some great questions. Honestly, you guys are really kind of thinking about stuff, and it makes me kind of think about, you know, what I can do a good video for you to help you guys out. Some of the things that you mentioned make me think about new ideas. It's a great way of doing things. Right, so AS commented, thanks again for your videos, they're a wonderful reference library. Appreciate that, AS, thank you very much. I couldn't find a video which addresses my situation of second guessing the market when swing trading due to political or economic news. E.g., if I plan for a 3R, and just a reminder guys, R is a multiple of risk. So if you're risking, say 50 pips, your 3R would be 150 pip target. Right, so then after an exit at 1.5R or 2R, and I feel as though price looks tired, but more often than not price would reach 3R. How do traders using a mathematical mindset accept 3R win or 1R loss with no in between, i.e. systemize their minds? I have a trading edge, but I just can't stop tinkering. Many thanks. So I appreciate that question. It's a great question, and a very, very, very common thing that we go through as traders, guys. You're probably sitting there watching this video going, yep, get to it. Give me some ideas. Give me some hints on how I can kind of overcome this. Well, the first thing to say is, okay, if you are in a trade, now a textbook would say, just leave it, and we know, right? We know we should be leaving it, but how can we help ourselves do that? How can we stop ourselves from meddling? It's like all these things in trading. You just stick to your rules, stick to your trading plan, you know, keep the discipline. Yeah, we know, but we need a little bit of actionable stuff to help us do that, like in everything, you know, in life, isn't it? Right, anyway, so 3R is a target. He's closing at 1.5R or 2R, and he's regretting it because that then is going to 3R, and he's saying, well, if I held on to the trades. Okay, the first thing is to address the reason why you're closing the trade at that level, especially when you have got data to back up holding it for that price target. Because very often, if we dig down into why that we're doing this, and we'll kind of put up some actionable stuff in a moment, but if you dig down and say, okay, why are you cutting the trade short? It's because for whatever reason, you don't believe that it's going to hit the price target, and you're afraid of giving back the profit. You're like, okay, well, it's 2R. I don't want to give back all that profit, sorry, and go into loss and then lose whatever I was risking on the trade, whatever the swing trade was, 100 pips or whatever the target is or whatever you're trading. You don't want to see all that disappear. And so that fear is overcoming the logical mind, which is saying, well, hold for 3R, because that's where the likelihood is the price will go, and I've got data to back it up. Okay, so if we address that and we've kind of go step back and we assume that that's the reason, for most people that is the reason. I know myself, you know, price is almost at your target, and it starts to, especially, which was mentioned, especially when it's kind of done this, and then it just starts, you know, just tickling around, doing nothing. And if that's your price target there, you start thinking, oh, you know, well, you know, and then especially when it starts doing this, perhaps just floating down, that might be a 2R trade for you. You want that 3R there, and it's gone stagnant, or it's not quite looking right, it's looking tired, and so you snatch it. So from an operations perspective, you can say to yourself, all right, I need to ensure that that fear of loss isn't so great. So in other words, what I can do is I can start to ratchet my stop up. I can start to move the stop up and say, okay, well, my risk is now this. Does that make me feel better? Yes, it does. Does that make me feel good enough to hold the trade? Yes, it does, hopefully. So finding a place to ratchet the stop up. I didn't quite grasp from the, I don't know if you mentioned the question whether you do that or whether you leave that stop right there at a 1R loss. And so it's either binary, it's either 3R profit or 1R loss. Then maybe have a hybrid model so that when you get to a certain level, let's say you get to that 2R, or let's say you get to a point, even if you don't use it from a mathematical perspective, just go when it gets to a point where it feels tired, as you mentioned, and you get that feeling, then ratchet the stop up. Because, and what you could do, as a kind of an interim period to get the growth on this evolving this strategy, is even ratchet it right up. So right up. So we, instead of, this is kind of baby steps, guys. As we know, we'd love to go from here to here to running our trades forever, here to cutting our losers, here to whatever issue we're trying to overcome. But one thing you could do is you could say, right, I've got the urge to close it, right, I want to put a stop in, a tight stop near, so I'm not closing it, but I'm feeding that little voice that's saying, you're going to give that profit, you're going to give the profit back. What are you doing? Well, you're going to give that profit back. It's stagnating. Of course it's going to reverse. But you're also complying with the logic of, well, listen, I still think it's going to 3R. So finding a place where you can put that stop, and then over time widening that. So you're feeding that beast, if you like, at the beginning and saying, okay, well, I won't close it. How about if I put a stop 20 pips, depending on what order of magnitude you're trading, 20 pips under the market? Will that please you? Okay, well, I'll do that. So you're pleasing that, but you're still giving it room to run. And then you start to move that a little bit wider. How about 50? How about 100? How about if I just give back 100? Happy with that? Yeah. So you find a point where you're stretching the comfort and you feel comfortable, where you've got that side of the voice saying, close it because it's stagnating, it's going to drift lower. And that side saying, hey, well, hold it because you know it's going to hit 3R. And so that, combined with gathering the data and constantly reviewing it and saying, look, if I had held all the trades to my final target, I would be up an extra X thousand or whatever the number may be. Just reinforcing that so that you can say, okay, well, I know that the likelihood it's going to hit my target. I know that. But then giving that a little bit of food, that beast, by saying, okay, well, I'll put a stop in. How about that? I won't let it go all the way back. I'll tighten the stop up. And like I say, start at the beginning by putting the stop very tight. So this isn't ideal, but it's better than closing trades straight away, right, at 2R. It's not ideal, but at least just doing something. So we're just taking baby steps. And we start to extend that stop, extend that stop, extend that stop, and find a level where you'd be happy to put the stop. Okay, that's one way of doing it, one way I like to do it. Another way of doing it is, like you alluded to in the question, is being mathematical and very binary about it. We say it's 3R, or it's 1R, it's one or the other. That's the way it's going to be. It's nothing. It's a mathematical problem to solve. I'm going to get it or I'm not going to get it. Now, for me, the key thing obviously is you're meddling with it. So the solution to that is to not be watching the market that you trade at all once you put the trade on. If you're very strict on that and you want to do that, then trading that market and then taking it off your watch list, taking it off anything so that you never see that market again. Because if that's truly what you want, the 1R loss, the R as in the loss and the 3R profit, then there's no reason for you to look at the market. And you just have to wait until you get an alert that comes through, and you set an alert at your fill level on either side. You get your alert through, then you can look at it. And that's kind of the cold turkey way of doing it, not having that temptation to meddle. If you can't see it, you won't be tempted. Now, that's easier said than done. It's easier to do if you're trading like a vast array of instruments, because you can just never look at that stock or never look at that market and then look at the other markets and stuff that's going on. And that's an easier thing to do. But if you're trading, let's say you're trading one or two instruments and you're trading quite actively, then it becomes harder because you want to do it. But still, you know, taking these extreme steps at first, you know, sometimes is the only way to crack the nut, and then you can kind of add things in that suit you. Maybe you look at it every and then a week, depending if you're trading. I don't know what the time frame you're trading. We say swing trading could be kind of 9 months. It could be 9 weeks. So maybe you have a time where you analyze it, assess it, adjust it. But this very, very common, you know, day trading as well, where we will meddle with something just because it's not doing what we want it to do. The final thing I want to mention, guys, is this. Is that we can't expect the market to go from one point to another without doing something in between, especially if we're looking for extended targets. You know, if we recognize that, you know, that's our target there, and very unlikely will the market go from there to there if it's a decent target. Very often we're going to get this stagnation level. So if we either adjust the target to suit that, or accept it at some point this is going to happen, and perhaps have a scaling strategy that scales us out there and says, well, listen, the average rotation of this market is, you know, 300 pips on the time frame I'm trading, and so I'm a little bit late. I can really only expect 200 pips before this starts to at least take a pause for breath. So why don't I take a chunk out of the market at that 200 pips and then look to reestablish the position potentially, or just keep, you know, the core position on for that final burst. So there's a couple of kind of different ways of dealing with it and playing around with it. The trick is to use these little tips and little nuances and way the market works and strategies to convince and coax yourself into getting as close to what you want to as possible. You may not always be able to hit the point where it's either 3 or what, it's either my loss or my 3R, but if you can get closer to it, then you'll start to see, you know, decent improvements in the actual results of the trading strategy. Of course, if the trading strategy is profitable, which in this question you mentioned it was, which is double thumbs up, good stuff. And so you know you've got a good trading strategy. It's just a case of, okay, how can I stick to it? How can I make sure that I'm, you know, not just going, I've got to stick to it, but doing these little things, doing these little actions that will push you towards the area you want to be, which is sticking to it and running it in a kind of systematic way, but from a human being's perspective as opposed to an algo's perspective. All right, guys, if you like this stuff, give it a thumbs up. It's appreciated. Otherwise, I shall see you next video. Take care. Bye-bye.